our world is a world that is in motion. And we tend to forget that. We tend to, because we get caught on our day-to-day basis, I mean, we, what I call the horizontal plane kind of takes us, all of us, like, oh, I gotta feed the kids. Oh, I gotta make laundry. Oh, I gotta go to work. Oh, I gotta do this. Or I'm in traffic and I'm late for my appointment. And it's like we kind of like lose sense of what's actually happening when we're doing all these things, because like at the same time we're flying through space at horrendous speed, in a galaxy, and like we're like, like this continuous transformation that's happening. It was funny. Who was it? Oh, yesterday I was getting a treatment, and the therapist that was giving me the treatment was talking about how she used to love to go to the beach and just lay down on the beach and look at the sky and feel that feel her body zooming through space, flying through space as the earth spun, and as it spun around the sun, and as it spun in the galaxy, and all this, and it would just bring her so much joy to. And it's like we forget that. And so these motions, these dynamics, which are very much, I mean, angular momentum is very much part of these equations that we solve. These dynamics imply cycles, and these cycles, oh, you asked me for a short answer. I'm so sorry. These cycles are very much, part of the natural world, meaning we are tied to them, like, day and night, circadian cycles, like all of the way our body function, all the biology around us, everything is tied to this cycle. And there's shorter cycle, like day and night and all this that's happening in one day. And there's longer cycles. There's the cycles of the earth going around the sun. And there's even longer cycle than that. There's cycles of the sun, going around the galaxy. And, there's even larger ones and larger ones. And that's actually the math that we're writing right now is actually the math of these cycles. It's a math that tells us about how the cycles at different scales relate to each other to produce the reality we see. So, solstice and equinox and all these are fundamental cycles of that we experience on Earth that were marked by the ancient civilization as, markers for changes and for evolution in the human evolution. And that's, that was intended to be measured and precisely identified by many of the temples all around the world that mark these very important moments in the human evolution, and in the cycles of the year, and in larger cycles with, like, for instance, the Aztec and Mayan calendars and so on, galactic cycles and so on. And so as well as precession cycles and so on. And so there is, and they were marked with very, very high levels of precision. I want to make sure people understand that I wasn't just sloppy. It was so precisely marked that we today, with all of our technology, cannot reproduce the level of precision that are in some of these calendars. For instance, for all the eclipses, in the Mayan calendar and so on, hundreds, thousands of years ahead, and as well the position of these very, very large buildings relative to these astronomical events. And so to remember this is important. To remember that we are part of these larger cycle, that we are part of this will works of nature, of these gears that are connected to each other, that makes our reality what it is, and that makes us who we are, and that connects us to the whole, that we're not separate from these gears. We are a gear in the whole thing, and at any point you cannot remove any gear because the whole thing stops moving, right? So if you have a transmission, you can't disengage. There's no clutch in the universe where a gear is removed from the mechanism. Everything is spinning and turning together, and everything is evolving together. And these cycles, it's important to remember, they're not like this sun and the earth, like rotating in circles, but they're flying through space, making spirals. And so whenever we come back to a solstice or an equinox, and which is remarkable that these things are so stable for so long, but when we arrive at solstice 2019, we are nowhere close to where we were in space at solstice 2018. We're millions and millions and millions and billions of miles away from where we were. And so we are evolving, and these mark our evolution.